Good morning. Good morning, students of the way. Today we're on chapter 19 in a series of 80 poems. Each poem is called a chapter, 81 poems. And we're on page 9. We're also on page 19. And now we're going to move from how to govern a nation to how to govern oneself. Well, actually, it's a little bit of both. So we'll start with 19, which is entitled, Eliminate Sagacity, Abandon Knowledge. Eliminate sagacity, abandon knowledge, and the people benefit 100-fold. Eliminate humanitarianism, abandon duty, and the people return to familial love. Eliminate craft, abandon profit, and theft will no longer exist. These three become insufficient when used for embellishment, causing there to be attachments. See the basic. Embrace the unspoiled. Lessen selfishness. Diminish desire. One more time. Eliminate sagacity, abandon knowledge, and the people benefit 100-fold. Eliminate humanitarianism, abandon duty, and the people return to familial love. Eliminate craft, abandon profit, and theft will no longer exist. These three become insufficient when used for embellishment, causing there to be attachments. See the basic, embrace the unspoiled, lessen selfishness, diminish desire. Okay, so this is a combination of recommendations for I don't know. It's at several different levels. So let's just take it as it reads. Eliminate sagacity, abandon knowledge, and the people benefit 100-fold. So get rid of your wise guys, your sages, abandon knowledge, and the people benefit 100-fold. Eliminate humanitarianism, abandon duty, and the people return to familial love. So if you get rid of humanitarianism, as a construct, and duty as a construct, then people return to something more natural and normal and less deranged. We've all seen how humanitarians can turn into real trouble if they don't know what they're doing. And we've also seen how people who, in the name of duty, can do some of the most horrible things imaginable. And they say, well, I'm just doing my duty. And we've also seen how intellectuals, going back to sagacity and knowledge, we've seen how intellectuals and folks like that can create a lot more problems than we had to start with. So it goes on to say, eliminate craft and abandon profit, and theft will no longer exist. By craft, they mean excessive crafting, elaborateness and for its own sake. You have to imagine, say, a culture that's really become completely enamored with elaborateness just for the sake of elaborateness. And then, of course, if without profit, there's no longer theft, because why is there not longer theft? Oh, I see. It's going to explain it later. It says, these three become insufficient when used for embellishment, so causing there to be attachments. So what it's warning about is that these three, sagacity and knowledge, humanitarianism and duty, craft and profit. These three, when used for embellishment, when they're taken too far, are insufficient to govern a locale or a nation, and also causes there to be attachments to things that don't matter, that are inherently not worth anything except that our mind attaches worth to them because they're fancy or they're more elaborate. They're more. What comes to mind is someone paying $500,000 for a watch because they like all the embellishments and they like all the craft and all that. And there's nothing wrong with watches, but if a society becomes enamored of these kinds of things, which are really just mental elaborations, then they can get into trouble because there's attachment, there's theft, there's jealousy, envy, so on and so forth. And I think what it's recommending here is just a more simple lifestyle. See the basic, embrace the unspoiled, lessen selfishness, diminish desire. Okay, so here it is. So without these things, these sagacity and knowledge, the humanitarianism and duty, the craft and the profit, in replace of those, just stick with the basic. Embrace the unspoiled, and thereby you lessen selfishness and diminish desire, which is universally recommended by every spiritual tradition and almost all religions. Okay, now we go to number 10. Number 10. Detach from learning and you have no worries. Woohoo. Detach from learning and you have no worries. How far apart are yes and yeah? How far apart are good and bad? The things people fear cannot but be feared. Wild indeed are the uncentered. Most people celebrate as if they were barbecuing a slaughtered cow or taking in the springtime vistas. I alone am aloof, showing no sign, like an infant that doesn't yet smile, riding buoyantly as if with nowhere to go. Most people have too much. I alone seem to be missing something. Mine is indeed the mind of an ignoramus, in its unadulterated simplicity. Ordinary people try to shine. I alone seem to be dark. Ordinary people try to be on the alert. I am alone, the unobtrusive, calm as the ocean depths, buoyant as if anchored nowhere. Most people have ways and means. I alone am unsophisticated and simple. I alone am different from people, in that I value seeking food from the mother. It's a beautiful passage. One more time. Detach from learning and you have no worries. How far apart are yes and yeah? How far apart are good and bad? The things that people fear cannot but be feared. Wild indeed are the uncentered. Most people celebrate as if they were barbecuing a slaughtered cow or taking in the springtime vistas. I alone am aloof, showing no sign, like an infant that doesn't yet smile, riding buoyantly as if with nowhere to go. Most people have too much. I alone seem to be missing something. Mine indeed is the mind of an ignoramus, in its unadulterated simplicity. Ordinary people try to shine. I alone seem to be dark. Ordinary people try to be on the alert. I alone am unobtrusive, calm as ocean depths, buoyant as if anchored nowhere. Most people have ways and means. I alone am unsophisticated and simple. I alone am different from people, and that I value seeking food from the mother. Okay, so this is a description of Taoist sages. and although it's a prescription for being a Taoist sage, it may be difficult for the rest of us to try to fully grok. But Taoists have a way of surviving and thriving regardless of what the conditions are. And they live very close to the ground. They don't want fame. They don't want riches. They don't want the admiration of others. The more they know, frankly, the less they speak. And the more they know they don't know. So let's take it in turn. Detach from learning and you have no worries. And it's true that were we less complicated, we could just be here in this beautiful place provided for us in our mother nature, and we would have fewer worries. The more you know, in a way, the more you worry, is another way of putting this. And so they ask the question, how far apart are yes and yeah? So this would be like the academics, where you're trying to distinguish the minus little detail from another one, and you spend half a lifetime debating with your colleagues how far apart are yes and yeah, when you could just drop the whole thing and everybody would just be fine. How far apart are good and bad? Now this was more tricky, but if we remember Rumi, he has a famous line, there's a field beyond good and bad, meet me there. And so again, good and bad are just more judgments. Now, you can approach this with a silly mind, and this will sound silly, but if you approach it with a serious mind, and you understand that it's highly, highly nuanced, if you understand the time and situation in which it was written, if you approach it with an open mind and open heart and without a lot of cleverness, there's deep wisdom herein. For example, the things that people fear cannot but be feared. So there's been times when people have tried to tell people there's nothing to fear, nothing to fear. You don't have to fear starvation. You don't have to fear, the plague. You don't have to fear the new tyrant in town. But it says here that the things that people fear cannot but be feared. So that's can come in handy. And then it makes the remark, wild indeed the uncentered. And I think we don't need a whole lot of evidence for that, since we have Hollywood and our well, I don't want to name any towns in particular, but wild indeed are the uncentered. Now here's a description of a Taoist sage. Most people celebrate as if they were barbecuing a slaughtered cow or taking in springtime vistas. I alone am aloof, showing no sign, like an infant that doesn't yet smile, riding buoyantly as if nowhere to go. So there's two images here. One is people celebrating, like they're going to have a big party, or they're going out in the in the beginning of spring, and they're celebrating, and all, they're getting very, very excited. But a Taoist sage, as this is written in the first person, I alone am aloof, showing no sign, like an infant that doesn't yet smile. So those of you who know infants when they don't yet smile, they have a very certain kind of peace to them and a mystery to them. and a depth to them. It's a powerful image. Riding buoyantly as if with nowhere to go. And the buoyancy, the buoyancy of the infant or the sage comes from not having a particular place to go. I mean, it's not, which means something more like, I'm not hell-bent on getting to where I think I should be. I'm going to go along with the flow. I'm going to go along with the way. And wherever it is, I'm fine. It's Be Here Now of Ram Dass, or Live in the Present of Eckhart Tolle, and so on and so forth. More like that. Most people have too much. I alone seem to be missing something. So it's just pointed out that wealth is rarely a sign of Taoist sagehood. And the more you have, the more you have to take care of. The more worries you have, the more complications there are, the more bogged down you are in life. So what these guys recommend is, or at least this is what they do themselves, is rather than have too much, they'd prefer to be missing something. Seem to be missing something. And then again, the adage of those who really know that they don't know. And I think it was Socrates who said, they say that I'm the wisest man in Athens, and they may be correct, because I know that I know nothing, which is really the closest, that's probably the most accurate statement about the situation of mankind. And the sages are just more in touch with the fact that ultimately there's almost nothing we can know, virtually nothing we can know for sure. Mine is indeed the mind of an ignoramus in its unadulterated simplicity. Okay, so I have the mind of an ignoramus because it's unadulterated and it's simple. Ordinary people try to shine. I alone seem to be dark. So these guys, these women and men, they weren't into, getting famous or being admired by other people, or that wasn't their currency. Ordinary people try to be on the alert. I alone am unobtrusive, calm as the ocean depths, buoyant as if anchored nowhere. So this double image of one being as calm as the water down deep in the ocean, which doesn't move, but then as buoyant as something moving on the surface with whatever comes, just buoyant. So buoyant and deep. Nice juxtaposition of images. Most people have ways and means. I alone am unsophisticated and simple. I alone am different from people in that I value seeking food from the mother. So this self-description of these sages is that they are unsophisticated and simple. They are different from other people in that they seek food from their mother, nature. I alone am unsophisticated and simple. I alone am different from people in that I value seeking food from the mother. Okay, let's see. I think we can do 21, which is also on page 21, which is nice. It's entitled The Countenance of Great Virtue. Now, countenance, for those of you who don't know that word, refers to a face or your character or the presentation of your face or your character, your mood. It's got that kind of valence. Oh, I should read it first before going into an explanation. Here we go. For the countenance of great virtue, only the way is to be followed. As a thing, the way is abstract and elusive. Elusive and abstract, there are images in it. Abstract and elusive, there is something there. Recondite, hidden, it has vitality therein. That vitality is very real. It has truth therein. From ancient times to now, its name is the undeparting. Thereby are seen all beauties. How do I know all beauties are thus? By this. Whoa, okay, so this is really got a lot in it. And like so much of this book, this short little 80 poem collection, it literally takes a lifetime to absorb this stuff, and this will be an example. Okay, the first line is fairly simple. For the countenance of great virtue, only the way is to be followed, capital W. The way of nature, the way of God, the way of the natural, of the uncomplex, uncomplicated, just the simple, beautiful, gorgeous way of our Mother Nature. Okay, and now these three lines are really something. As a thing, the way is abstract and elusive. Abstract and elusive, there are images in it. Abstract and elusive, there is something there. Boy, I don't know if I'm going to be able to elucidate that. So if you look at the way as a thing, it's going to be abstract and elusive because it's not a thing, it's a process. But it's not even process, it's more like a design. But it's not just a design because it grows on its own and it's creative on its own. It evolves. So that's line one. Elusive and abstract, there are images in it. So notice it says there are images in it. It doesn't say there are things in it. So now it's making an allusion to the fact that there are within the way there are images. And then in the third capitulation, abstract and elusive, there is something there. So we can't grab the way. You can't name the way really. It's like God itself. You can't attribute beyond the slightest point anything to God. She's creative. She's compassionate. She's intelligent beyond belief. But beyond that, what can we say? Our human brains, which see things completely in an illusory manner, are not equipped to do that beyond essentially that, or something like that. Okay, so now we get recondite, hidden. It has vitality therein. That vitality is very real. It has truth therein. So hidden within this way, there is life itself, vitality. That which drives all of nature and all of us. So that is the way also. That vitality is very real, obviously, or we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be breathing, we wouldn't be alive. In addition to that, it has truth therein. So in this vitality and in this hiddenness, in this elusive, we can't say thing, this elusive, we can't say process, in this elusive way, there is truth therein. So if you're looking for truth, it's within the way, something like that. From ancient times until now, from ancient times to now, its name is the undeparting. Thereby are seen all beauties. How do I know all beauties are thus? By this. So, from ancient times to now, its name is the undeparting, which is another word for saying God, or I'm sorry, the constant, which is another word for God, which is another word for I've got there's some teacher from the 20th century who called it the bright, or who called it loving, clear light, or something like that. All of these things fall apart, but basically it's that one of its one feature we can say about God or truth or beauty or the way or Allah or the goddess or the eagle or the bright or whatever you want to call it, is that it's undeparting. It's always here. It's the only constant. And elsewhere in the text they talk about returning to the constant. And so this is the constant. The constant is the undeparting. That's another name for God, the undeparting, or truth. And thereby are seen all beauties. And the way you know that there's beauties there is by looking. You just look, and you can see it if your heart and your mind are open. Okay, thank you very much for sticking through that. Let's see what we have next. After that comes be tactful and you remain whole. Okay, we'll leave that. And again, if you do like this series and you want to help out, if you could subscribe or like, both of those would be very helpful. That algorithm is ruthless. Thank you. Have a great day.